Welcome back to Crown's Crypto Cave. Wish you a happy Friday morning over here from good old Helsinki, Finland. Always wishing you well, wishing you the best of the best, the happiest of the happiest. And before we get into it, oh my God, I want to say a massive thank you to all the people out there. We have just hit over 10,000 subscribers. This community is fucking phenomenal. I haven't planned any to say anything or anything like that, but it's, and I'm really at a loss for it, to be quite honest with you. But my God, this is incredibly humbling, and I just want to say thank you to everyone out there. The community that we built up is truly something special, in my opinion. We have guys from all over, from all walks of life, really going for the same sort of a thing, which is exactly what I want to surround myself with. I never intended for this channel to get this big. It was really to be more of a niche type thing, you know, kind of reaching out to the type of person who's looking to become a trader in a more serious sense. Again, just wanting to connect with someone who I felt like I was when I first started this this whole journey, and you know, and to offer the same sort of, you know, opportunity that I felt like I got when I first started by getting around some of the best traders on the floor of New York Stock Exchange Arca. So again, I just want to say thank you. Again, I'm just at a loss for words, and really, it's really absolutely incredible. So again, massive thank you. Let's get into the charts right over here. And Bitcoin doing absolutely nothing in the last 10-12 hours since we last spoke. Essentially still consolidating below the critical area on the lower time frames, as we'll start with the lower time frames, as nothing's really changed from the higher time frame perspective. Still consolidating below this 3380-ish level. So for me, with my short position, I will still be holding on to this more immediate scalp position right over here. This 6300 short right over here, I'll be keeping that open as long as Bitcoin's basically creating lower highs and lower lows. As long as it's in a downtrend, which it's been doing for over a year now, I will be happy to hold that. But this position right over here, I will take this position off if Bitcoin does get back above about 3380 right over here. That would be the impetus for that. But for now, consolidating well below there. In fact, we could even put a nice support right over here, which Bitcoin is flirting with right here, right now. Last 4-hour dildo did close right back above, very low volume, and right now with this 4-hour dildo closing the next 7 minutes and 12 seconds, we could actually see this break right here, right now, which is pretty fucking momentous occasion right now, as there's very little holding Bitcoin up from the lower 3200s. If this does indeed break, I would be looking towards about 3250 right over here, and it's more of like a zone, right? This lower block territory, which will match up with the symmetrical triangle that Bitcoin put in about a month and a half ago. I mean, this was end of December, early January. Now we are all the way in February, and just moving time along, which just keeps on seeming to move faster and faster as the years pass. But the measure move on this baby pointing all the way down to about 3250-ish area. That's still very much in play. As long as we are below the breakdown point, which is all the way at 3850-ish area, 3830, that is in play. Now, this area that we are on is also very important as well because it's a major fib. It is the 786. If we bring this guy up right over here, you can see that we've been resting on it for the past, a couple weeks, ever since the end of January, right over here, creating a nice little, what do you want to call it? The inverted cup and handle. If you wanted to call it an inverted cup and handle, it actually does work as one. You do have this nice pattern of distribution in this area right over here. You have the right volume characteristics, you have the right size, the right shape, the right smell, the right taste, putting in a little bit of a handle right over here. But again, until this area actually formally breaks, I don't care what you call it. I don't care what it smells like. I need to see price action confirmed below this level because we are in hunt territory. Bitcoin has been pretty damn resilient, trying to hold these 3350-ish area right over here, and we will be printing bullish divergence on just about all time frames, I believe, up to a 6-hour. So this is your 4-hour right over here. It is technically printing a little bit of bullish divergence over here. 6-hour as well should be. Yep, we could, well, you know, if I was going off this dildo right over here, yeah, I would say so, but very low volume, and to have it pretty much retraced on the next one as it stands is not a good look for this guy. So again, very delicate situation. 6-hour Stokes over here are crossing down once again after giving you a snake, but this is not confirmed either. We still have to wait until 0 UTC time, I believe it is, or sorry, 12 UTC time, when that kind of gets ticked on. But lower time frames, very low time frames, like an hourly right over here, we do essentially have another lower high with this last little run to 33.66 right over here. So again, looking at this sort of a thing, it still just kind of trending down, just slowly but surely kind of rolling the hills over. So if you are familiar with capitulation, what it typically looks like is you do get, you get some major downs, and then you spend your time going sideways and just boring everyone to death, which is kind of what we're doing right over here. And then typically what happens when the actual event comes is it's just a slow rolling over type formation until basically everyone just gives up. I mean, again, that emotion of hopelessness and lack of, just desperation, whether it's for true financial reasons or just frustration from people. But, a lot of people will be forced to financially capitulate. That's, it's kind of the overall goal of it. For people who do not have other external sources of income, they are certainly going to be at risk at some point, at some price point, and at some time point. You will have to for financial reasons. Again, this really applies to like the very early adopters who thought that this thing would never go back below 6,000 or 10,000 for that matter. Again, market cycles, pretty fucking brutal, and a lot of people getting a great experience right now. Daily right over here, again, we are still below all major moving averages. As far as the daily is concerned, we actually have broken through and confirmed below this 33.90 resistance right over here. If we do adjust this for the daily, it is confirmed broken, and we are living below it, opening and closing dildos below it as well. But again, I do believe that the battle is to be fought in the lower time frames. So I just wanted to point that out. But as far as the higher time frames are concerned, they are incredibly bearish, and I just can't even get this line straight over here. Sorry about that. Let's get that guy actually right. But again, we are getting a great insight into what the Boston algos are doing in this market, which is incredibly algo driven, which is fine. That is how all markets operate. It's very naive when other crypto YouTubers and whatever the fuck they are, whatever, name your social media venue here, talk about that as like some sort of manipulation thing. No, it's that way in all markets. We're in a technological age. That's where things are going. At some point in time, it's going to be only all algos, essentially. I mean, you are an algo yourself. I mean, you're just running off of your own inputs, essentially. It's just a little bit more complicated than what a bot can do for now. But soon enough, man, Terminators are taking over, baby. Anyways, Fibonacci's kind of give us insight into this ratio right over here. We have our major down, 50% down from 6,000 to 3,000 essentially, and then we got our first big bounce up. That bounce finds its first initial kind of comeback around to the 618 Fibonacci retracement right over here, which you can see gets front ran just a little bit. But where's their target going to be if that gets front ran a little bit? Well, it's going to be above the 236, which is exactly where you get it. I'm going to guess that that's like the 132 or whatever the fib is in the one area. Then comes back down to the 618, tags it perfectly, and then where's the target going to be? 382. Just walk it down, baby. Come back down to the 618 once again. It gets picked up once again. The reaction is a little bit weaker, gets sold on the 0.5. You can see it's just getting walked down. Then comes back down to 618, breaks, and now we're resting on the 786. So to me, the reason why I keep on repeating this, because not only is it important, but as long as Bitcoin is below this 3460-ish area, 3470-ish area, which, by the way, is now where the daily 21 exponential is coming in around, very, very important, I am pretty bearish with looking for a major move to the downside, most likely. Now, I know a lot of people are looking at this as a falling wedge. I don't see any wedges here. I don't even trade wedges. I think that wedges are just painted there to dump on retailers, essentially, because people just love their patterns. I very rarely see successful pattern traders, and people I'm surprised that people didn't learn back over here on this falling wedge when Bitcoin was essentially at the 6,000 level, and we had been consolidating this area for about half a year at this point. Everyone was looking at this falling wedge right over here, which actually did break out to the upside in July, end of July. But what happens on a falling wedge, and how do you gain that liquidity for people or for the bigger accounts? Well, you break it out on low volume and then shove it right back down. Now you got buyers all the way down, which wrecked a ton of people. So again, all jokes aside, pretty damn brutal, but understand that those things are painted in there to generate liquidity for the bigger boys. So again, 36 seconds left to go on this 4-hour dildo. We will be getting resolution on this right now. Pretty much right now. We will, let's go to the highest time frame ending the soonest. This is the 8-hour. The 8-hour has, again, right at this level, I would consider, if it does end below here, I would consider this a break. Now, volume confirmation is certainly not there. Don't get me wrong. Volume confirmation is nowhere near there. And 8-hour Stokes probably will actually cross up on this next tick as well. But 8-hour Joule actually crossing down below all of our slow indicators right over there. So is that a perfect sell setup? Fuck no, it's not. But it does tell me that the trend is once again getting when the light blue gets below all those guys, and they're all kind of like stacked up against each other, which they're actually not perfectly situated right now. That's that's pressure on. That is pressure on. But as you can see, yes, we did close it below. Let's go down to the 4 hour and check how this guy ended. Yeah, 4 hour, a little bit of a just basically giving up last 4 hours. What's it called? Gains, and now I can actually move the stop on my short to the high of this guy right around 33.69 or something like that, whatever it might be. Let's just actually do that right now because I don't really see the. Let's do 0.5 just in case. You never know where Deribit wicks to. I also have some options positions open as well. Just selling some of the 3,500 calls, the 3,500 call strikes expiring February 22nd. So again, just letting that one ride as well. And that's how I'm going to be playing this guy right over here. So let's see how the 4 hour Stokes ticked. Yeah, they are hinting at across the upside. What about 8 hour right over here? I'm going to guess that they are, well, they certainly are losing their aggressiveness, but not necessarily crossing up just yet. Let's go check out the 2 hour. 2 hour ended as well. 2 hour is crossed up, and then the hourly right over here still crossed up as well. So, it's interesting to me. To me, this is just another lower high right over here now confirmed. If it were to pop back up to about 30, Jesus Christ, the numbers are so close together now, it's very visually deceiving. But if Bitcoin were to pop back up to like 33.61, I wouldn't even mind selling a little bit there. I'm not going to. I don't have any intention to add to my position. Again, there's a lot of bullish divergence building up on all these lower time frames. Let's see if the 8 hour, what is the 8 hour saying right over here? 8 hours is a little bit hard to get because I don't necessarily see this as bullish divergence until we have a confirmed local low over here, and we don't have a confirmed local low just yet. We just have a slow rolling over effect, which looks incredibly ugly. I mean, it looks really fucking ugly the way that it is right now. To me, this looks more like rolling over than anything. Now, of course, because, does this work as an inverted cup and handle that we're looking at right now? I mean, it does. It does. It does have the right shape, the right size, the right smell, the right taste. So let's just play around with it and see where the measure move on this baby would kind of come out to. As I'm curious myself, does it match up with perhaps any of the other big areas that we're looking at? Oh my God, it does. 32.50 right over here, which is also, by the way, the 886 Fibonacci retracement, which Bitcoin actually does have a nice history of playing off of. It does seem to get a lot of play in cryptocurrency land. So overall, looking at this guy, I am, as long as we're below that 33.80 area, I am looking for this to likely get hit. That is the path of least resistance right now. And if we just extend this guy out, we can see that we are overall making a massive, well, not as massive as over here, but a massive descending triangle, which Bitcoin also does have a history of playing out. Again, I like triangles. As far as patterns go, I like triangles. I like ascending, descending, and symmetrical triangles and channels, but pretty much nothing else. In cryptocurrency land, in traditional land, a little bit different. Head and shoulders actually play out pretty damn well in traditional markets. But yeah, overall, looking at this guy right over here, nasty, fucking nasty, fucking ugly. The volume characteristics on this at large are that of consolidation. The price action is incredibly corrective. We are creating lower highs and essentially lower lows in the lower time frames, and just slowly but surely rolling this guy over as the lows come ever increasingly near. Now, here's a thing. Going over here to our chart on Bitstamp so we can actually get a use of the higher time frame simples and exponentials. Well, let's actually start here while we're here. I'll start with the 10 simple represented by the red. We are being governed by the 10 simple on the red. Now, we do not have continuation on Bitstamp and GDAX, but we do have continuation on BitMexico and Finex for Bitcoin, which is interesting to me. I do put more weight on both Finex and BitMexico when it comes to price action because they both seem to get it right more often than not. But again, GDAX and Stamp do not have new lows on the weekly. So the reason why I mention this is because we put in a bearish engulfing dildo right over here on the rejection of the 200 exponential on the cross of the 10 simple, the red 10 simple right over there. So to me, that was a big tell. That was a big tell that we want to go lower. Then consolidation, continuation, and I want to see continuation on Stamp and GDAX, which would be had if we could get all the way down to 33.30. But you'll notice, and the reason why I bring this up now and kind of tie back in together what we were speaking on when we first began this video, is the 200 simple moving average now represented by the red is coming in where? It's coming in at low 3,300. So the reason why this is important is because if Bitcoin actually does get back down to 32.50, I think that there's probably going to be a little bit of a bounce there, but overall it probably gets faded and we do move lower. I think that this consolidation is incredibly mature and it is ready to roll sooner rather than later. That is my opinion. I do not trade my opinion. I trade technical analysis, and technical analysis says, hey, still wait for either the weekly 200 simple moving average, which is again around 3,300 to be broken, or a daily total closing below 3,250. Whichever one happens first, then you're likely ready for that flush down to new lows. But my opinion after looking at this is that we have already tested the 200 simple once, and we've tested it again this week as well. I mean, when you come within about $10, $10 to $20 of that number, especially on a weekly, close enough is fucking close enough, man. So if Bitcoin does start ticking back below this area, it would appear to me that it is no longer being defended. And the reason why I say that is because the defense seems to be coming in at the current level right now. You see all these wicks below the 3350-ish level. That to me is telling me that, hey, that's where the buy pressure is, and that is essentially your response so far. So again, just kind of trying to get into the actual tap into the collective consciousness of the market. That's what I'd be saying. But hey, at the end of the day, it is, if I'm going just purely off a technical analysis, I would be saying, yeah, wait for it. Of course, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, just sharing what I'm doing. And these is that sort of same situations that you might find yourself in, because it's quite literally right in front of our fucking face. Go fuck yourself, SEC. Just kidding, SEC. I love you, SEC. CZ, I love you too. Anyways, looking at this guy, lower time frames while we're here, let's actually go back to GDAX chart. You will notice that at this current level and looking at the volume profile, we are kind of hanging on to the last high value node in this area. And that also tells me that, hey, even if Bitcoin does come down to this 3250 area right over here, it's probably just going to be a bounce because people are looking for the double bottom, and double bottoms in my experience typically don't hold. Like you might get that initial bounce for a scalp, maybe even a nice gain sometimes, but typically they do get faded into. So yeah, if 33 and this last high value node is 3350. So again, 3350 still the support. I know that on the lower time frames that we're just looking at, it does kind of look like it does kind of look like that horizontal is broken right now, but I'm not really seeing volume confirmation on that. Price action is price action. But looking at this, it might be a little bit more complicated than that. In fact, I'd be comfortable with saying it is a little bit more complicated than that. So yeah, 3350, the critical area for me to see. So again, if this area does get lost, I mean, yeah, you do have a little bit being done right over here, but let's really go over to the higher time frames and go back to the stamp chart right over here, and let's see. As soon as you lose this kind of higher value node, which is still already kind of getting waned a little bit, but technically speaking, coming in right around 3,300 essentially. Then nothing doing all the way until mid 2000s right over here, which is a very similar setup to what you had, albeit not as dramatic at the 6,000 area. Once you lost 6,000, there's just nothing doing all the way till high 3,000 essentially. So putting back on these guys right over here, yeah, if Bitcoin does break, then I would be looking down towards, oh man, did I? No, okay, it's all good. I would be looking towards this next sort of block right over here, this blue box territory encompassed between 2,300 and 2,600. You got some nice high value nodes coming in right around there. We have the 886 Fibonacci retracement, which, that sounds pretty familiar, right? Because that is actually where Bitcoin did bottom out in 2014 right over here. We do have some nice historical horizontal trend lines coming around this area. We do have the BLX index showing that the 377 exponentials coming in right around that area, which is incredibly important from a traditional market standpoint. So I'm very interested to see if Bitcoin gets down around to it, what the reaction is going to be. Because I would imagine that at this point in time, when Bitcoin is having like a longer lifespan, that's going to come into more and more play, I would imagine. But anyways, monthly over here tells me that let's take off the volume profile. The volume profile on BLX index is going to be completely useless, by the way, because you have this one off right here, which just wrecks everything. The BLX index is not good for anything other than price action, as far as I'm concerned. The volume read is it's faulty. But anyways, the BLX index right here, let's actually put on the 10 simple. I just want to get it back on there. Not really too many things to be aware of with it just yet. It is getting damn close to the 21, no doubt about that, but not necessarily. It's still like a couple months away from crossing. But more importantly, we have broken the green 55 exponential, which tells me that, hey, even if Bitcoin did start playing out that bullish divergence that we looked at on the lower time frames, I would not, if Bitcoin got back anywhere around that green 55 exponential on the monthly, I would look for a major sell, as we have broken it for the first time in Bitcoin's literal history. That actually did give you the ultimate bottom in 2014, just saying. But looking at this guy, if Bitcoin did even get around this area, it's probably gonna be a good sell to me. I believe that Bitcoin is gonna be operating below this area. I believe that Bitcoin is going to be operating below that area until it puts in its lows and before going back above, if that makes sense. Sorry, let me re-represent that. So what I can say is like the same thing on the weekly right over here, the 200 exponential, this purple moving average right over here. As long as Bitcoin is both opening and closing weekly dildos below there, I have no reason to be, bullish on this thing, thinking that it's going back, to above 5,000, let alone fucking, mid 4,000s or even low 4,000s. And that's coming in right around 41.25. So that has been governing our lower highs ever since we dropped off this ascending triangle right over here. So again, going back to the monthly, to me, this is an even more powerful thing, the green 55 on the monthly. So if Bitcoin if Bitcoin even wicked back above, 3650, 3700, which is where it kind of is, I'd be looking for a sell. I'm not saying that Bitcoin is going to go back around there. I'm just saying that if that were to happen, that would be a phenomenal play. And we'll actually kind of go through the lower timeframes and discuss the implications of that. But to me, more and more likely that Bitcoin comes down to this 89 exponential, this cyan line right around here, around 2450, 2500, which, by the way, again, in that blue box territory, before closing a monthly dildo back above the 55 exponential right over here, which again is around 3650. Now 3650 also important, or that area is important, 3650 to 3700, because remember the descending triangle that I believe that we are playing out right over here, currently filling this guy out. The upper resistance of this ascending triangle would be coming in right around where? Right around 3650 actually at current price action. That would be the 0.5 fib over there as well. But remember, I'm not really looking for that to happen. I'm not bullish on this. Bullish is the wrong word. I'm not in any way, shape, or form bullish on this. But what I mean to say is that I don't want to be looking for upside on this as long as we are below this guy here, 34.69. As long as we're below 34.69, I'm not interested in any sort of longs. I'm not interested. Not that I'm like interested in longs to begin with, but I'm not interested in taking off my shorts or not looking for shorts. But the second that Bitcoin gets back above this range right over here, 34.69 again, then yes, I don't want anything to do with shorts for a little bit of time. I probably might even want to consider taking a long, as I think it would be very, very likely that you get another stab back up and to fill out this range somewhere around that 3650 area that we just spoke about. But remember, going off the daily right now, we are having this major resistance, the major daily 21 exponential, starting to crawl its way down. It is now coming in where? 34.69. So as Bitcoin spends its time kind of rolling sideways here, all of the major moving averages are allowed to catch up, and that's not a good thing. It just adds more and more intense pressure to the downside as the slope of this guy has not changed. You see the 10 simple is flattening out a little bit, and I guess they have converged a little bit over here, but again, not a good setup. You even have the green 55 on the daily starting to come down right around 3650-ish area. So again, a lot of things coming around that area, and we do see a lot of confluences between these time frames. I don't see any sort of a falling wedge here. I don't care about falling wedges. I don't trade falling wedges. I think it's silly. And a lot of the times, even if you get a breakout, as we saw before, it just gets faded. Pattern traders, very rarely do I ever see successful ones. I have seen successful ones though. I do know some people who can do it. More so in traditional markets, not necessarily in cryptocurrency land. So yeah, the biggest thing for the bulls right now is that we do have bullish divergence all the way up to the 6-hour dildo time frame. However, the 6-hour dildo time frame needs to confirm itself as a local low right over here. Otherwise, this will be quickly negated. So how do we confirm ourselves as a local low? Well, need to get above the high of this potential low dildo right over here, this hammer dildo, if it is going to be a local low. But right now, the RSI finding resistance at the exponential, which again tells me that this is, pressure is on. We have 6-hour Stokes crossing down or hinting at a cross down. Again, not confirmed just yet. And 6-hour Joule is, this is a major decision point for the Joule. And this is what I love about the Joule. If the Joule bounces off here to the downside, this will be a nice down. That will be a nice down. If it does tick up though, then probably do have some nice. I just wouldn't see much stopping from about 3400-ish area. Okay, so yeah, a lot of things to be aware of in here, and those are the big, that's kind of the big reads on this. Sorry, I should also denote that this ascending triangle does have a measure move as well, and it does kind of line up with the other things that we were talking about. If things do break down below 3250 from price action standpoint, then I'd be looking for, where is it? Come on, daily, show me the money, or show me the dumpage down around. Come on, bait. You motherfucker, TradingView. There we go. 2400. So again, a lot of things coming around that 2400 level. We have the monthly 89 exponential. We have the weekly 377 exponential. We have the measure move off this ascending triangle. We have some major volume profile action coming around there. We have some historical horizontal trend lines coming around there. And we have the 886 Fibonacci retracement from the ultimate high to the ultimate low of the last market cycle, which is actually where Bitcoin did bottom out in 2014 as well. So a lot of things coming around there. Does that guarantee that it's going to be the ultimate low for Bitcoin? No, it does not. Although it is certainly a potential reversal point, but just like any other reversal point, or potential reversal point, I need to see the response of price action to make my own response and denote if this looks like a major market cycle low or not. This area right over here technically could have been a major market cycle low and a reversal point, but after we saw the reaction about a week and a half after we saw the reaction, it was very clear that this was not it. This has no markings of a major market cycle low, capitulation low, or anything like that. Again, if you want the full-on explanation of that, check out the video, the video playlist that I have titled Long-Term Analysis. It'll be the most recent video I uploaded in there, and I do one every Sunday, by the way. But I won't bore you with the details right now. It's all in that video, but I'll just quickly summarize it. Basically, I don't see the volume characteristics that I want to see on a major low. I don't see the historical volatility rank. I don't see the regular volatility rank. I don't see the MVT signal that I want to see. I don't see the percentage. I don't see the percentage reaction that I want to see. I don't see the time spent at the low is just not really indicative of it being a low either. So again, a lot of things kind of lining up there for not the most healthy read. Anyways, yeah, I think we covered up Bitcoin pretty damn well. Let's go check out GBTC, which did close the day up. So we were watching this yesterday, and it was flailing around this region. It actually ended up closing that last 4-hour dildo as a bullish engulfing. I mean, is it technically a bullish engulfing? The last one was a green dildo as well. But my point is that it was some good buying right over there. And yeah, we are technically right at resistance. We are at this $3.92 resistance. But here's the thing: when it flails around at the breakdown point like this, that is typically a warning sign in my experience. So is this going to be a bear trap or not? I mean, the buying on this is incredibly anemic. The volume on it is just about nothing. It's not a zilch, but again, I don't want to argue with price action. If it breaks back above $3.92, I think that Bitcoin's probably gonna have a bounce. You're probably gonna see Bitcoin have a bounce, and probably a nice bounce as this thing can get going a little bit. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it came back to like $4.10 or something like that. So where would that put spot charts at? I don't know. I guess 3,500 maybe 30. Yeah, somewhere right around there, 3,600, maybe the top of the descending triangle resistance. So again, be careful because this, alongside our lower time frame divergences, does suggest that Bitcoin could very easily bounce here. Let's go back to our higher time frames as well. We don't really cover the higher time frames because they really haven't changed all that much. But daily right over here, let's just check out the oscillators. We have daily Stokes still headed back down again in reject from getting out of the bearish control zone and back into the critical zone. Daily RSI trending below the exponential, and what about 2-day right over here? 2-day we will be setting in another, or sorry, we just actually got a new tick on this, and 2-day Stokes are still headed down. They are hinting at a loss of momentum, which again, this makes me very cautious. I have a hard time. I don't want to be adding in a position like this. I want to be holding my short and be very, 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 very quick on the trigger finger if this thing again goes above 33.80, I believe it was. 2-day dildo, hidden bearish divergence right over here, making higher highs in the oscillator, making lower highs on price action right over here in the overall context of a downtrend, likely coming back down to the edge of the bearish control zone. But again, it's a 2-day dildo time frame. It takes its fucking time. We've been watching this for the last 2 months, and it's still playing out. That's my point. When I talk about all these sorts of things, I don't want to get people excited thinking that this, that a major move happens like today. We're looking at, almost 3 months of price action now. So when I say relatively soon, that really means like a couple weeks to a month for resolution of this. But yes, it is incredibly mature. You see that nice orderly drop off in volume, get into the small pitter patter. We are literally at Some of the biggest lows as far as Bitcoin volatility goes, historically speaking. This is, let's actually put it on linear scale. Yeah, you can see that we are at around the volatility ranking of where we were in October, which that this kind of feels a lot like October as well, where like a $5 move feels like a major breakout or breakdown. Bitcoin has very rarely seen this level before in its history. In fact, only really in October of 2018, in November, early November, and we are down there once again. So this would also be suggesting that, likely see a move relatively soon. But last time we were in this range, we actually did spend about 2 weeks there. So yeah, I do feel comfortable saying that, when I say that this thing is happening relatively soon on a time frame like this is 2 weeks, not 3 months away. So yeah, going to take its time, depending upon your perspective. And the reason why I'm kind of like repeating this ad nauseum is because a few people were reaching out to me saying like, like, why isn't it moving now? Why isn't it moving? It's like, well, this is a market, not a video game, and it takes its time. It's one of the purposes of this is to frustrate people, the less emotionally mature people, to go into positions prematurely. And again, still want to see confirmation on those on the timeframes that we spoke about. Let's go over to the longs and shorts now. Longs and shorts showing again that still the imbalance between 32,000 and 26,000, actually both adding in the last day since we last spoke. And we have about 3,500 shorts hedged, so really a little under 23,000 open shorts versus 32,000 open longs. It is a severe imbalance, and we are at the range where longs are kind of getting near, traditionally speaking, where you see a lot of people where you see a lot of people get liquidated. I mean, anywhere in this red box is where I see major tops being put in and major dumps being put in, and we are once again getting near that 33,000 level where it kind of starts at. But again, it can get all the way to 40,000. Historically speaking, for shorts over here. Shorts are, around 26,500 open shorts, and less important for this guy as much as just it getting down to this critical level not too long ago in the middle of January, which does line up with major dumps as well. So when shorts are relatively, when there's not too many people short, it does offer up the potential for people, plenty of coins to be dumped on short. And by the way, right now, the funding rate, the daily interest rate for shorts is nothing, whereas the daily interest rate for longs is almost 0.03, which is again not that high, but certainly not low either. Historically speaking, down around this low 20,000 region range, we actually do see some major dumps. I mean, this was March dump from 10,000 to 6,000. This was August dump from 8,000 to 6,000. This was November dump from 6,000 to 3,000. We're once again in this range, so people getting interested with putting on some shorts. And again, just another thing kind of suggesting that this is this is not, again, if you want another reason why the low is not in, well, this is a goddamn good one right here. You want to see this the opposite, essentially. You want to see shorts much higher than the longs in that ratio. So, I'm trying to represent both sides as well as possible. I hope I'm being pretty clear. Let's go check out traditional markets now. Traditional markets actually playing out some down yesterday. In fact, confirming this as a local high to me. Ending the day back above the 200 exponential moving average, but I would imagine that if we did pop back up to 272, probably have a nice scalp play right over there. Again, this is a very difficult one because my opinion is look for local tops because I think that this bitch reverses. But as far as technical analysis goes, that says hold your horses. This has a lot of work to do before it confirms a reversal. You got support right here at 266.5. If that fails, and you got 261.5 right over here, which is very important. If 261.5 fails, then yes, then reversal talk is back on. Back to prior lows. But I'd imagine that probably what's going to happen is we're probably going to do something like this. Where it just slowly but surely just gets ground down. And this, again, you can see that this is going to take some time, right? Coming from the ultimate high right over here, something like that. So, I don't know, what is that, like March maybe, comes down to this level. Again, it's likely to take some time, and I don't really believe too much in this sort of a thing to begin with. But overall, you do see some very interesting things going on in the stock market. But again, Intel, as long as 261.5 is available, I don't really think it's too appropriate to be talking about a major reversal. Although my opinion is saying, look for the next local top. Is this it right here? Perhaps. If this area does get taken out, 270, what is it, like 273.5 is our current high of that top, then yeah, then I'd be looking towards 278, 280ish area and look for a local top right around there. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that one. Let's go check out Mr. Ripples over here. Mr. Ripples nipples hanging around 29 cents. Daily looking. I mean, daily hasn't really done anything different. We are hanging on the lows, not a good setup. Daily Stokes getting rejected from getting out of the neutral zone and down. We have daily RSI just testing the exponential right over here, getting shoved right back down. I mean, it's not a good setup. But again, nothing's really changed. Nothing's really changed here. 3 days very ugly, but until you actually break 28 cents, it's hard to get super bearish on this. Looking for lower lows down to mid teens, high teens area. By the same token, if Mr. Ripple's nipples could break above 34.5 cents, then things look a lot more rosy, or sorry, a lot less dire, I suppose. Not like the wolf. And you could probably have a run back up into the 40-cent region, maybe even 50-cent region. Again, you never know when Garlic House is going to flip that switch, baby. But for now, as far as technical analysis goes, an incredibly ugly chart. Mr. Stellar Rumens over here, again, hanging on its lows as well. Everyone's calling bullish divergence because this is this is what you want to buy when it just keeps on going down. It's like, no, not really. Not fucking really. Let's see where this actually ended up, because this looks eerily similar to Bitcoin, right? Yeah, even the measure move off that is actually it's actually the same thing as what I just looked at. Yeah, it's actually significantly lower, around 6 cents area. Yeah, as long as Stellar is below 9.5 cents right over here, very, very bad. And this looks eerily similar to Bitcoin. In fact, just taking everything off, looking at this, your major parabolic run up, then consolidate for about a year, bull trap right over here, down, put in a low, retest, retest the support of the consolidation, confirmed as resistance. 3-day dildo death cross if we go over here, which I believe is being run off of right now. Bad, really fucking bad. And then price action just starts to follow through. 6 cents, your next big support on this guy. If that area fails, in 4.5 cents. I mean, this is, it hasn't pumped and dumped like most things, but it's acting like it wants to. It's not good. This is Litecoin over here again, getting stonewalled at resistance, but actually really fighting it off right now. You do see the 10 simple providing the impetus for its support on the last couple of 3-day dildos, but 3-day Stokes have confirmed a snake to the downside. So usually when I see that, it does have some pretty nasty implications for further follow through in that direction. But hey, as far as price action goes, until you actually, if you could break 34.5 bucks, which is just, I mean, it's less than a buck higher. If you could break 34.5 bucks to the upside, I don't see much stopping you from $40 essentially. And if this area gets rejected, 34.5 bucks, and you still got support down around here, 30 bucks down around here, which, it's support until it's not. But I would imagine that if Bitcoin, Mr. Butyrol, the other majors roll over, this thing probably follows. So yeah, speaking of Mr. Butyrol, Mr. Buttersworth's over here. How's he doing? Still looking like a sick puppy, hanging on the 786, just like Bitcoin as well. Lower time frames did get much more of a pump. Coming into this area, we have major wick right over here, another wick right over here, rejection of the 21 all the way through, but still fighting it off. What I could say a little bit more handily is that as long as you're below 108.5 on Mr. Butyrol, don't want anything to do with it to the upside. But if you can take out 108.5 to the upside, then yeah, it probably does get another stab at least to 113 on Finex, and that's where things get a little bit more interesting. If you can get back above that range, then then I'd imagine that's a situation where Bitcoin's back above what was it, like 3,500 or 3,469, which is just a better number, and you might get that run into the 125.5 region right over here. But again, not the most pretty chart of all time. We got 4-hour Stokes are going to be crossing down fresh, I believe, as of last tick, which we just saw. Let's go check out the daily, 12-hour right over here. 12-hour, what does it look like? Not really telling us too much. Still headed down, but losing momentum, that's for sure. Yeah, this one's a little bit more neutral to me than Mr. Bitcoin. The king has a little bit more bearish indications than Mr. Buteral. Last 12-hour dildo did not look too healthy, but again, find it off right over here. I mean, you will have resistance right around this range, right around 33.80ish area. So again, that's still what I'm holding on to until told otherwise by price action. So yeah, let's go do the daily grind on the volatility rank. I'm curious what that one is setting into right here right now, and let's go. Oh wow, the 12 hour is actually getting really low as well. Holy shit. Holy shit, fuck. 12 hours getting below zero point 0.1. It is below zero point 0.1. Again, the only times that we see this low are literally like before before a major move. So like before the break of 6,000 right over here. This was a major dump end of September. This was a major dump in May. Remember that, 10,000 to 6,000. I mean, it really doesn't get this low that often. That's my point. I mean, even, before that, it never even really got this low. And then yeah, these areas right over here. So yeah, this is pretty significant to me. 8 hours, same sort of a thing. Last time it was this low was before the big move from 6,000 to 3,000. The time before that was, again, May. So yeah, a lot of things suggesting that a major move is going to be coming soon. And given the overall price structure, I would be likely saying it's to the downside. But hey, that's why I go off of technical analysis. My opinion not needed. If it gets back above the area that we spoke about, 34.69. Probably do have a little bit more upside to play out, and probably make a stab towards the 3,700 region, give or take a few bucks. So yeah, again, a lot of people also talking about the fractal. Goddamn fractal. I fucking hate fractals. Fractals are not real. I mean, fractals are real, but that's the deceiving point about them, is that they're only. You could have made a fractal looking at the Wall Street market cycle cheat sheet all the way up on Bitcoin on each and every one of these areas right over here. This area, this area, this area, this area, and then of course this area. And people were doing that, trying to guess the top, and I saw so many people lose their accounts trying to short a fucking blue sky breakout when it was completely unnecessary. That is why fractals are quite misleading, because at some point in time it will work, but how many times did you lose money on the way up before it fucking works? More importantly, what am I even referring to? Why am I going on a silly tirade like this? Well, basically people are looking at 2014 2015 market cycle and saying that this area right over here is similar to this area right over here, and you see in 2014 2015 you put in a higher high on the weekly. So that means that Bitcoin definitely has to do it in 2018, 2019, right over here. Well, I would argue actually that is a very naive misunderstanding of how these things typically work, how market cycles typically work, which yes, they do have brotherly characteristics, but they're not identical twins. They're not identical twins. Again, related by the common factor of human psychology, which has been unchanged in hundreds of thousands of years. But let's actually go into the underlying, let's actually do a little bit more of a dissection than just, oh, okay, so it went down here and then went up there and then higher high. We're going to 5,000. It's like, yeah, okay. All right. But yeah, you see a lot of similarities, right? You had a descending triangle right over here, breaks down, and what you have a 51.5% move to the downside. Then we do the same thing right over here, descending triangle, breaks down, 51.5% move to the downside as well. Then you have a nice little move to the upside, right? You have a nice, like 25% move to the upside, dildo body to dildo body. Then same thing right over here, 25% move to the upside as well. Done over the course of about the same time. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 weeks before it just starts rolling over again. And right over here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13, working its way back to the downside as well. And looking at that's kind of a testament to this part of the market cycle taking longer than the prior, which makes sense. It's a more mature asset. We have more people in the market to shake out. But let's actually put on let's put on an external indicator, the MVT signal, which, remember, the MVT signal, the MVT ratio is the network value divided by the daily transaction value, and then interpolated using a forward, backwards, 90-day simple moving average, essentially. And you can see on this guy that it calls tops and bottoms pretty damn well. By the way, you can't use this on a fucking weekly. I know I get this message like every day. Bro, have you seen the MVT signal on a weekly? It's saying to buy. It's like, yeah, it's because it doesn't work it's not intended for that time frame. You have to use it on a daily. But you see a very similar read in 2018, 2019 right over here. Put in some red on the top, then come back, then come down, put in a major low right over here, which this was actually what capitulation does look and feel like if you did live through that through that first down to 6,000. That sort of intensity and that sort of, flightiness, and what was, essentially a 40% move in one day on the actual low. That's kind of what you're looking for. As you saw on this bounce right over here, we had, 25% done over, what was it, 11 weeks? That's not that good. One day, 40%, 11 weeks, 26%, and already like faded. Then kind of putting this consolidation right over here and putting in the warning signals the whole way through, and then we pop down into this 90 area right over here. Well, let's go zoom in on the area in 2014 in question that we were just looking at, and remember that 90 area that the oscillator is currently in around. Well, look at this area right over here, and then let's bring this guy up right over here. Where's that area around? Oh, 90 as well. Isn't that interesting? You also notice that, put in a major high right over here, put in your in your lows, and then pop back up for the bull trap. Again, a little bit of a shorter stature on this. But you'll notice, again, price action over here gives you a higher high. And in the MBT signal, you have the signature of about the same thing. You drop down, put in a low right over here, rally up, put in your first high, come back down to your lows, and then put in a higher high right over here, and then roll over as you get wrestled by the moving average on this indicator. Well, in 2019, we have about the same thing, right? You have, you drop off all the way over here, put in a low, rally up, put in your first high, come back down to your lows, and then put in a second high right over here. But I would argue that low was probably around the 3,500 range. I think that was the critical area to hold, in my opinion. In my opinion, 3,500 was a critical range to hold. The second that Bitcoin gave that up, there was the second that shit got real, essentially, to quote Bad Boys. So, the indicator helps get rid of a lot of the external noise. Not only are we at the same reading, which again tells us that this is typically where Bitcoin does not bottom things out, and this thing has been perfect, like literally perfect every single time on calling the actual bottoms, but it just because it flashes a green does not mean it's like the overall bottom, right? But if it doesn't flash green, it's definitely not a bottom. That's my point. So, looking at this guy, we are actually living above the moving average on this. But I would imagine that I'd imagine that the second that this thing actually gets right back below that moving average, the second that this thing that price actually starts to crumble as well. So again, let's actually wrap this bitch up. Probably spoken long enough. I apologize about that. I know my voice is annoying. It sounds like a raspy lesbian, but you know what? We have plenty of very serious Magic Internet Money business to get deep and down and dirty into. So thank you again for joining. Let's just quickly wrap this up. To put it very lightly and bluntly, as long as Bitcoin is below 3380, I'm going to be holding this short right over here. Happy to hold this short. The second that it gets back above 3380, then maybe I look for another short anywhere around the 3450ish range. But if price action does get back above 3469, if we have a BART back above there, I don't want to be short. I don't want to be short. I do not want to be short. I want to even maybe consider taking a long, as I think price action would probably crawl its way up above, to 3750, something like that. By the same token, did we break the support right over here? We're not really getting the reaction of it right now. I mean, look at the volume on the actual breakage, the breakage still that we just saw. It's not too convincing. It's not really convincing at all, to be honest with you. But hey, it's technically price action is living below right now. But do we have basically a bear trap in order, like we see might be forming on GBTC? Well, we need to just wait and see where GBTC opens to start the day. If it opens up lower, I'm gonna imagine that this actually does get faded. If it opens up higher, then it's probably gonna be a bear trap if that does happen. So we'll just have to wait for traditional markets to open up, and then we can actually watch that one together. But for now, that's essentially what I'm looking towards. If Bitcoin does break this to the downside and have some more follow through, but basically just taking out the low of the last dildo, if we can just tick below, what is it on GDAX? It's $54, then I'd be looking for probably 3250 at that point. I just don't see anything stopping you in the way. So again, that's going to do it for today. I want to say massive thank you. Oh my god, at 10,000, it's so flattering and so humbling, but it's also so fucking cool because I feel like for the most part, this channel has attracted the exact type of person that I wanted to join and the kind of person I want to surround myself with. Again, when I went more independent, it was boring. Like, you do the independent thing for a few years, and then after that, you're like, I'm kind of isolated, and I quite literally do live in a cave. So it's been amazing to meet all of the really fucking cool people that are in this community. I love it when people reach out, and it's just like it's always positive. It's always fucking positive, and that's the sort of message that I want to have. So again, massive thank you. It's yeah, again, I don't even know what to say. It's so incredible. It really is. Never thought that was never really my intention, but I'm open to it as long as we keep have the right 10,000, which I do believe we do. So again, guys, massive thank you. I'll probably be back on later for some live stream action. Hopefully we can get some price action, because that would just make it a little bit more fun. But if not, then we can probably just chat around. I'm going to be working on the psychological series soon as well. I'm really excited about that, and I was really impressed to get a lot of the feedback on it that I did. So definitely looking forward to that, and I'll see you later. So take care, and pleasure to speak with you.